Hello guys, and welcome back to my podcast or my YouTube if you're watching live from YouTube. As it is February, I've decided to start a brand new series all on self-love and how to really step into an identity shift of the person you're trying to become. Because a lot of us have this vision of the person we want to become, and there's this roadblock between where we are now and how we get there. And a lot of that can come down to past situations, things people have said to us in the past, comparison, lack of self-belief, and all these things that kind of block us from getting there, and also lack of direction. And we just think, well, how can I get there? So today's topic in particular is going to be on comparing yourself to other people's journey and comparing yourself to other people in general, and how to focus on yourself and not compare yourself to other people, which can be super hard in this day and age. And it's really easy to compare yourself to someone else's journey. But what we have to remember is that you're never going to be anyone else. So we have to direct it back to us. Okay. So first thing I want to go through is I want you to ask yourself, have you ever compared yourself to anyone else? And I'm pretty sure if you say no, in fact, I'm sure that if you say no, you are lying. We have all compared ourselves to someone else along the way. And that's not a bad thing, by the way. It's also not a bad thing to feel a type of way about someone else because that's where you want to be. Everyone triggers us in different ways. And if someone has triggered you in a certain way, it's just a little bit of self-reflection we have to do. So if you see me looking over here, it's because I did this presentation to my clients the other day. And I want to make sure I touch on everything on this podcast for you guys. Okay. So I want you to remember, firstly, that comparing yourself to someone else and their journey, to begin with, we have no idea on how that person even got to that result. You might see someone on Instagram, maybe you're part of a coaching journey, or maybe it's someone at work, whatever it is, someone in your family, someone you might know. We don't know the struggles, the hard work, the effort they put into to get to where they are today. You also don't know if actually, especially if it's Instagram, if it's even friggin' real, because Instagram and social media in general is a highlight reel. So you might be comparing yourself to someone on social media who you've obviously never met. You don't even know if it's real. And then you're feeling crap about yourself because you're thinking, well, why can I not reach that goal? I'm never going to like her, whatever it is. We've all done it. And if that is the case, one thing I always recommend to my clients is to go and mute those people. Go and mute people who are making you question yourself, because it's nothing to do with them. It's got nothing personal to do with them. It's just that we need to protect our own peace. And you can unmute them down the line if you actually like their content. But if something's triggering you right now, whilst we're doing that self-work, I'd really recommend muting them. You don't need to unfollow, or maybe you want to unfollow. Get rid of them. Your Instagram feed is something that you absorb every single day. It should be something that inspires you and makes you feel a type of way positively, not negatively. And if it's making you feel a negative way, like I said, it's not personal to that person, it's on you, but it's also down to you to then obviously remove those, those triggers, right, for the meantime. Okay. Now, something I always say is you are never going to be anyone else. So you can sit there all day long. And it's something I had to say to myself many times over. You can sit there all day long wishing you had her legs, her this, her that, or whatever it is. But you're never, ever, ever going to be that person. You are only ever going to be yourself. So it's an absolute complete waste of time, wasting your time trying to wish you were someone else, or wish you had someone else's physique or someone else's features, whatever it is, or someone else's job, someone else's lifestyle. You're never going to be anyone else but yourself. And that's your superpower. And what you don't realize is there are people out there looking at you wishing they had that, this and that you've got. But you're too busy focusing on what you don't have instead of actually realizing that you have so many skills, so many amazing features about yourself that you're just focusing on other things and forgetting about your own self. So yeah, firstly, you're never going to be anyone else. So literally, it's a waste of time thinking and wishing you looked like someone else, or you had this and you had that. Those thoughts aren't going to be the thing that pushes you any closer forward to those goals. You could get there in your own way. If it's a physique, you can get there in your own way. But don't be disheartened when you don't get there by the work you didn't do or the effort you didn't put in. Do you know what I mean? So something I popped on one of the first slides for my clients was you're comparing your body to someone else's, your life to someone else's lifestyle. Your chapter 30 to someone else's chapter 20, or their chapter 30 to your chapter 3. Okay, you cannot maximize your results using someone else's journey. You can use it as inspiration, but that's it's not you, and that's not how they live their life and where they live and all these different things we see or we hear. That's not you. That's not your life. So even, for example, say your goal is to lose weight, right? And someone at work comes in and they have lost, I don't know, let's say 3 stone in the last 3 months, whatever it is, doing a certain thing. That doesn't mean it's going to work for you, or eating a certain amount of calories. The amount of people that I have messaged me saying, what calories are you on? What weight are you? All these things don't freaking matter, because it's about you and your body. Yeah. And so what I put at the end here as well is like, you don't need someone else's body. You need to unlock the potential of yours. Okay. So another part of this presentation, I spoke about the fact that obviously no 2 bodies are the same, no 2 lives are the same, and not 2 journeys are the same, and they're not meant to look the same. So how someone else gets to that end result and how you do is going to be completely different, and that's the whole point. And your body isn't meant to look like hers, it's meant to look like you, like I said, and that is your superpower. So the only comparison that you should be making is yourself versus yourself 30 days ago, or 3 months ago, or 6 months ago. Where were you 3 months ago? Where were you 6 months ago? Where do you want to be 3 months from now, 6 months from now? Sitting around comparing yourself to someone else and wishing you had this and wishing you had that, like I said earlier, isn't going to get you any closer to that goal. It's only going to make you feel more miserable, can't get my words out. And it's also going to just demotivate you even more, because you're going to think, well, what's the point? I'm not going to get there. But you can. There's no reason why someone else can be somewhere and you can't. In regards to physiques and bodies, everyone looks different. One thing I would say about my coaching, if you go on my page, every single one of my clients looks different. And that's what I love. I love that, because no woman's body looks the same. And that is literally why we cannot spend our time comparing ourselves to other people's bodies. It is just such a waste of time. But you might also be comparing your lifestyle to someone else's, or your job to someone else's, or your income to someone else's. These things also are things that can be changed. And even if you are using other women as inspiration for your health and fitness journey, that is absolutely fine. Inspiration is very different. That's fine. But also remember that when you reach that goal, it's going to look your own way. It's not going to look the same as them. So I want you to have a little think about, who are you comparing yourself to right now? Like, as I'm talking you through this podcast, who's coming to mind? Who are you comparing yourself to right now? Is it someone on Instagram? Is it someone at work? Is it someone in your life? Who do you compare yourself to? And what do you actually know about their journey? Because a lot of the time, nothing. We have no idea about that person's journey, how they got there, the pain, the struggles, the effort they had to put in. We don't know how they got there. And I hear this a lot within my coaching team, and this is just me being very transparent. I'll have a lot of ladies say to me they're inspired, or they're comparing themselves to other girls on the team who might have done amazing. Those girls have been with me for 2 years. They've gone through all these processes. We look at someone's end of their journey, we think, oh, I want to get there. But what we don't think about is how they got there. Are we willing to put in and match the effort they did? And if not, then we can't complain about not being there. For example, say you want to be a millionaire and you want it like that. Good luck. It isn't going to happen like that. It's going to take a lot of hard work. It's going to take a lot of failures. It's going to take a lot of being rejected, a lot of losing money, all these different things. Are you willing to do that? And if not, then don't compare yourself to someone who's there. And I also pop down here as well, like, what can I control in my own journey for the next 90 days? And the reason I like to work in 90 days is because it's a nice little block. You know, like in jobs, you work in quarters. What can you control over the next 90 days? Instead of the whole year. That's why 2026 goals are amazing. But like, a whole year, like, that feels really overwhelming. And then it gets to February, March, and you might have slipped up on a few of your goals, and then you think, oh, you know what, we'll start again next year. But if you just work in every 90 days, or what can you do today, what can you do tomorrow to move you closer, that's the most important thing. Okay, so I want to lean into self-doubt and discipline. So a lot of people, and I hear this a lot as a coach, like, say, I'm just not disciplined, or I'm just not motivated, and I just can't do that, and all these things, like, I can't do this. They're just like identities that we put on ourselves. And when you say I'm just not disciplined, or I can't do this, it's just self-doubt. And it's just learned from past behavior. So if you've always tried something and then you've given up on it, naturally your brain is going to tell you aren't going to do that. Your brain is actually designed to keep you safe, right? Your comfort zone is designed to keep you safe. So for example, it will always continue the same loop as to what it knows the outcome. For example, say someone stays in a really toxic relationship. You might be like, well, that's not keeping them safe. No, but the brain knows the outcome. So that's the safety net. So it's easier to stay in something that's comfortable and you know the outcome of, than to move into out of that and be like, oh, well, we don't know what the outcome of that is. So your brain is naturally going to say, well, that's dangerous, even though actually staying in that relationship is dangerous. Same with health and fitness goals, same with everything, or same with the job you're in. So many of you will stay in situations or stay in, lifestyles that you're not happy in because your brain's like, well, I know the outcome and it's easier to stay here because it's comfortable. But actually, in order to take that step out of that comfort zone, that's where the magic happens. And something that our mindset coach that we have on the team said once, and it was so interesting, I love this phrase or quote, whatever you want to call it, is people would rather a familiar hell from an unfamiliar heaven. I know that's deep, but it's so true. You'd rather stay stuck and unhappy where you are because it's easier, it's more comfortable. You know the outcome, you've already been feeling this way for a while, so what difference does it make, rather than stepping outside of that and absolutely transforming your life? Because that's the scary thing. But isn't it scarier to stay where you are? I would say so. Another thing that I hear a lot is like, I know I'm not going to get there anyway, so what's the point? I know I'm not going to reach that goal, so what's the point? Well, the self-doubt is normal, and that just comes from past limiting beliefs, or it also comes from things that people have said to you. It might even be like a teacher in school said something to you, or a family member said you're not going to do that, and then you kind of always like lean into that self-fulfilling prophecy of like, I can't do hard things. It's not true. It's not a fact. It's not true. Look at your life, all the things you have achieved. That's proof that you can achieve hard things, and you choose what you can achieve. So envy is normal, doubt is normal, comparison is normal, but staying there is a choice that you make. And that might be a hard pill to swallow, but it's true. So what we need to do is take the self-doubt, be aware of the self-doubt, where it comes from, take it into our ownership, and then we can have the discipline from there. Okay, so let's talk about motivation, because that kind of links onto everything as well. Discipline and motivation. So it's like, let's not self-doubt, let's not compare ourselves, let's move into discipline, let's actually move into motivation, because I hear this a lot as well, like, oh, I want to get there and I really want to do this, but I'm just not motivated. And again, that's another limiting belief and another little excuse we keep there to keep us comfortable. So obviously motivation comes and goes, right? And discipline is the thing that stays. You're not going to be motivated all the time. I hear it all the time. I'm just not motivated to go to the gym. Girl, me neither. Me friggin' neither. Is that an excuse? No. I hear it all the time, and I say to people, and I say to my clients, cool, but you're not motivated to go to the gym. You're not motivated to go to work every day, but you still show up. Why? What's the difference? The difference is, unfortunately, again, another hard pill to swallow, is that you value work and getting paid, obviously, because that benefits your life, more than your own health, more than your own goals. You might be like, well, I don't. Well, you do, because otherwise you do the thing you need to do to move the needle forward. Do you know what I mean? So it's just having a little bit of self-awareness of that. You're not always going to be motivated to meal prep your meals, to go to the gym, to get your steps in. Suck it up and get it done. You're not motivated to go to work every day, but you do it because you know that the outcome is you get paid and that benefits your life. But being healthy, feeling confident, and transforming your mindset and physique also benefits your life on another level. Just a little food for thought there. So yeah, I've written down here, like, life gets busy, confidence is going to fluctuate, motivation will fade, and consistency will definitely fluctuate. That's just part of it. But the identity is what's going to carry you through. And I'm actually going to do a whole podcast episode on this. So I will touch onto it a little bit, but it's actually part of the series I'm doing on self-love and putting yourself first through February. So what you have to do, instead of seeing yourself as someone who fails, who gives up all the time, who, oh, you've tried all these things and you just can't do it. Well, you tried that before, it didn't work. Why would this work? Instead of seeing yourself as that person, you need to shift your identity to seeing yourself as someone who does train 3 days a week, no matter what. Someone who does fuel her body, no matter what. And someone who respects herself and has high standards for her health, no matter what. As soon as you shift your perspective to those thinking, you're like, I am this person. I always say to my clients when they message me and say, I'm going to try and go to the gym this week, or I'm going to try. I say, we don't do tries here. The minute you've said the word try, you've already installed that self-doubt into your brain. And it's like, oh, I don't want to disappoint myself. So if I just say I'm going to try, it means I won't actually disappoint myself when I don't follow through. You say, I am going to go to the gym 3 times this week. I already do go to the gym 3 days a week. Even if you don't, you have to talk that way. And like I said, I'll do a whole podcast episode on this. So like I've just popped to the end of this presentation that I did for my clients. You don't chase motivation. You become the kind of woman who shows up anyway. I love that. So I just really wanted you guys, I'm not going to go into too much more that's on this presentation, because I really want to go into a lot more episodes throughout this series of February, let's say January then, of February, on self-love, of believing in yourself, of putting yourself first. Obviously, February is the month of love, and I wanted to give back to you guys by focusing on that. So I really hope this episode has inspired you to reframe your thought process and stop comparing yourself to other people's journeys. Yes, use it as inspiration, but if you're just sat there thinking, I'm never going to be where she is, guess what? Well, no, you're not, because all you're doing is sitting there and thinking, I'm never going to be there. There's no action taken. Whereas if you see it as, I'm inspired by that hard work, I'm inspired by her physique, I'm inspired by her work ethic, you can do it too. There is no difference between you and someone else. It's just that they've worked their ass off to get there. Now, listen, I'll say it. There are also, if it's someone's physique, sometimes there is a bit of genetics involved, but most of the time, genetics aren't the only thing there, right? It's about actually taking the action. So I hope that's helped, guys. And obviously, I will be back for more episodes. I'm going to be doing an episode every single week on a Tuesday. So obviously, like I said, I'm going to do one on identity shift. I'm going to do one every single week over the next month on self-love and believing in yourself and becoming the woman you want to become. So yeah, but thank you for listening, guys, and thank you for watching if you're on YouTube. And I will see you and speak to you on my next one.